Hey, what's up? This your boy Big Man. You already know what it is, man. So let's get right to it. Okay, so today we're going to be talking about a love and hip hop star / rapper by the name of Arkansas Mo. Now, Arkansas Mo got his name and all his recognition from being on the show Love and Hip Hop. And it seemed like he was balling. He had a couple of different, relationships on the show, and he even presented himself on the show as a baller, man. And what got Mo in trouble seems like continuing up that lifestyle, trying to perpetuate the fraud or allegedly perpetuate the fraud, letting people think that he has the money and that he's got it and that he's balling out the window. Well, it looks like all that caught up with Arkansas Mo, or AKA Mo Fayne, in this article or in this story that's going around on social media, man. Now, there's a news story I want to talk about, and it talks about how the rapper got caught up last year, basically in a PPP loan fraud case, and how he was just sentenced yesterday to like 17 years. Now, this story is wild to say the least, and the last time I talked about it, we talked about how they hacked his phone or whatever and got all the information they needed for him trying to cover up things allegedly, but man, it goes way more into depth this time. Now, before we get to the specifics, do me a favor. Make sure you hit that like button, make sure you hit that subscribe button, and man, let's get it. Okay, now that we got that out of the way, man, let's talk about this Mo Fayne, aka Arkansas Mo situation, man. Now, dude just got a lot of time, man, and he got the Fed time, so it ain't looking good for Arkansas Mo. Now, in this story from the Daily Mail by way of MSNBC, it says this, man. The headline says Mo Fayne sentenced to 17.5 years behind bars after PPP loan fraud. Now, for some of you out there, this story might have you feeling some type of way, because a lot of people are caught up in this whole PPP loan situation. Depending on where you're at, it might be called the EDD loan or the EDT, and all sorts of different districts call it different things. And really, it was one of the programs that was put out there, in order to help businesses during this time, this tough time where we got a whole situation going on. Y'all know what I mean, right? Now, what's crazy is, man, they starting to crack down on a lot of people out here, man. You seen old dude from Pretty Ricky, he got cracked out. I mean, he basically caught a lot of time, man. And then now you have this guy, man, by the name of Arkansas Mo, looking at 17.5 years. That's no play. And it doesn't end there, man. They actually want some of the money back. And that seems like an ongoing trend. So, man, the story says this. It says, Love and Hip Hop Atlanta star and rapper Mo Fayne has been sentenced to 17.5 years in prison and must pay $4.4 million in restitution for his role in a federal bank fraud. Stop right there. Now, depending on how much money he took out, man, he probably ain't got that $4.4 million left, man. Let's be real, man. Anybody who took out that loan and was using that money, they were probably using that money, number one, to keep up their lifestyle and do things like that. Number two, to make sure that they pay the bills or whatnot. But number three, a lot of people were out there wilding with the money. Come on, man. We've seen the interviews with Boosie talking to Vlad. We've seen the interviews of a lot of people talking about, man, people all in the club, during this tough time, supposedly, and they out here spending money on watches. The watch dude couldn't keep watches. The chain dude couldn't keep chains and diamonds. People was out here wilding with that money. So anybody who might be in a similar situation, just know that you might have to pay that money back, man. And what's crazy is there's online sources. I spent like 30 to 45 minutes yesterday looking at these online sources that basically show you who in your city. It's so specific. You can look at who's in your city that took out a loan, the standing of their loan, if it's been actually, if somebody's actually, been any action against them, like any case yet, how many times there's been cases brought against them. It's so in depth, man. And I'm guessing it's public information because it's government funds. It's actually tax dollars, public money that went into all that, man. So, man, it's all on Front Street, man, depending on how your loan is being carried out and if you got a case coming up. Now, as far as Mo Fayne is concerned, the story continues by saying this. It says the 38-year-old reality TV personality pleaded guilty to 6 counts, including bank and wire fraud. Always wire fraud. There's like no way to beat that. After funding an over-the-top lifestyle during the pandemic with money from the Paycheck Protection Program, aka PPP. The money was meant to help small businesses and employees gravely impacted by the pandemic keep their workers, and maintain payroll. Fayne submitted a fraud $3.7 million PPP loan application, falsely claiming his trucking business, Flame Trucking, had 107 employees and an average monthly payroll of $1.4 million. Now, this is what a lot of people have been getting caught up with. You know, when they were submitting the paperwork, they were trying to claim employees that didn't exist. And they were saying that their monthly payroll for those employees was a higher amount than what it really was. And that's what's getting a lot of people caught up, man. And obviously, you know, this is spot on because that's what he admitted to in court. Now, it also continues by saying he used the money to buy $85,000 worth of jewelry, $136,000 Rolls Royce, $40,000 in past due child support, and $90,000 to start a new business in Atlanta, according to TMZ. Now, the $85,000 worth of jewelry is ridiculous. That's just, come on, man. Let's get real, man. The $136,000 Rolls Royce is ridiculous too. Come on, man. You asking for help from a program. Why is you out here trying to ball? And then the $40,000 for child support, salute. I can't be mad at that. You know, if there was anything that you gotta give them credit for is at least trying to, you know, pay off those obligations. But that's a lot of money in child support, man. $40,000. So at some point, he obviously must have been making some good money because they usually base that off of your income, right? And then he used $90,000 to start a new business, which, it's still using the funds wrong, but you get me. Now, it also says that Fayne cut a plea deal with prosecutors who agreed to drop 14 other charges and recommended he spend 151 months behind bars. On Wednesday, a judge ruled 210 months in prison instead. Whew. So they upped it like 60 more months. What's that, 5 more years? You know, so, man, they gave him an additional 5 years instead of that 151 months. So, wow, man. Wow. Man, so the story finishes by saying this. It says if he didn't cut the plea deal, the reality star faced a 30-year sentence for making the false statement to federally insured financial institution and money laundering, in addition to wire fraud in connection with a Ponzi scheme. Okay, now you're talking about big-time white-collar crime here when you start talking about Ponzi schemes and stuff like that. What was interesting about his case was like they had tracked him immediately after he had, you know, first came up on their radar for charges, man. His phone got converted and everything, man. This was a wild story, to be real. And anybody who took out a loan or was thinking about taking out a loan, hopefully they read that story, the one that came out last year around May timeframe, and they were like, okay, man, maybe that's not the move. Because, come on, man, these agencies have an auditing system and an auditing section that's just going to always go back and check the numbers, man, to see what's being accounted for, no matter how long it takes. So you're not going to get away with these. It's just not going to happen, man. It's not going to happen. Even though I understand people hear all this stuff from some snake oil salesman trying to tell them, yo, come get this money or we can get this money and all that, man, you playing a dangerous game, to be real with you. Now, it also says Fayne made first headlines when he was arrested back in May 2020 for the crime. He was indicted in Georgia by a federal grand jury a month later. Authorities said that Fayne's Ponzi scheme involved him posing as the owner of Flame Trucking, a profitable trucking company, from August 2014 through May 2020. The business, however, never actually made enough money to cover its expenses, according to the U.S. Attorney's Office. During that time, Fayne supposedly managed to get 20 people to invest over $5 million in the company, promising to use the money to purchase and operate his trucks. Instead, authorities said he used the money to pay his personal debts and expenses and fund an extravagant lifestyle for himself. Come on, man. And the story gets worse from there. So it continues by saying this. It says Fayne allegedly transferred more than $5 million to a casino to cover his personal gambling and entertainment expenses, among tens of thousands of dollars in cash withdrawals, custom-made jewelry, and child support. So dude is running the money allegedly through a casino and covering his gambling and entertainment expenses? All right, man. All right, ain't no saving. All right, man. So it continues as well as saying he also allegedly used $50,000 for restitution owed in a previous fraud case $230,000 to associates who helped him run a Ponzi scheme, and $907,000 to help an associate start a new business. Now, I can't be mad at anybody trying to be an entrepreneur, trying to get money, trying to get it out the mud, but you really ain't getting it out the mud, man. You're basically robbing Peter to pay Paul in this situation. You know what I mean? So you can't. That's always gonna end in the wrong way. But man, it continues by saying this: it's unclear if the associates paid for the Ponzi scheme were also involved in the alleged flame trucking scheme. So they're not sure if the people who helped fund him were actually involved in the scheme as well. So maybe, they didn't even know what was going on. So it might have just been his doing or whatnot, or whatever he pled guilty to in court. Now, Fayne's loans spinning apparently raised red flags at the United Community Bank due to the way he allegedly structured those financial transactions to conceal and disguise the nature, location, source, ownership, and control of the proceeds. So the bank already had red flags showing up. Like I said, man, when it comes to money especially, they've got auditing departments, they've got people in there looking for mistakes because they want every dollar accounted for. It's money, you know what I mean? And they obviously saw some red flags and said, hold up, man, something doesn't add up. So they looked into it. Now, when the bank asked for more information about Flame Trucking's finances, Fayne allegedly sent October, November, and December 2019 bank statements for Flame Trucking accounts at Arvis Bank. But authorities said Arvis Bank had closed Flame's trucking account in September 2019. So Fayne was aware that those statements he sent to United Community Bank were fraudulent. Later, when interviewed by federal agents, Fayne claimed that he used the PPP loan to pay for the trucking company's payroll and other business expenses, denying that he used them for personal expenses. So they're saying that he denied the fact that he used the money for personal things as opposed to just for the business what it was intended to be used for. During the investigation, federal agents seized what they believed to be the proceeds of Fayne's PPP bank fraud scheme. In the jewelry category, they seized a $3,000 diamond ring, a $24,000 diamond bracelet, and a $52,000 Rolex watch. Man, he was wilding, man. He was balling on that money. A $3,000 ring, a $24,000 bracelet, and a $50,000 watch. He thought he was a rapper out here, man. Then they also seized money from him, including $600,000 from 7 bank accounts, the $136,000 Rolls Royce down payment, and $79,000 in cash from his home. So he was balling with that money. I ain't gonna lie, man. He's doing exactly what you would expect a rapper to do because, he was a rapper as well. Now, it also continues by saying from Flame Trucking, they seized 8 Kenworth T680 trucks and 6 Great Dane refrigerated trailers. So it looked like somebody invested some money into the business. Because how did they get 8 different trucks and these big Great Dane freight trailers? Those big jerkers that you hate driving by on the road? And it finishes by saying this. Fayne, a.k.a. Arkansas Mo, appeared in 8 episodes of Love and Hip Hop Atlanta, while he was star Carly Red's fiance. They appear to have split up since then. Obviously, man, there's too much going on. And there's a lesson there to be learned about flexing money, buying stuff just to impress people for friendships and relationships and stuff like that, man. That ain't the move, man. You got to have genuine friends and genuine relationships, But what do you guys think about this situation? What do you think about Arkansas Mo going down for 17.5 years? They threw an extra 5 years on it for him, man, according to the story. And what do you think about the fact that all these people are starting to get locked up for PPP loan fraud? And some people, let's be real, some people are getting their loans forgiven. So I don't want to put it out there like everybody is getting, locked up and everybody's out there committing fraud, because that's not the case. There's people who legitimately use these resources for their intended purpose. But if you didn't, man, I would be a little worried right now, to be real with you, man. Now, with that, this has been your boy, Big Man. Do me a favor. Make sure you hit that like button. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. And make sure you hit that notification bell so that way you get a notification every time I drop this hot content. And we out of here. Peace.